What's going on with the Cowboys right now? There's a lot to talk about. Mike McCarthy's future is ended with the Cowboys. Then there are trade rumors swirling about Garrett Wilson, and fans are calling for Trey Lance to start in Week 18. So let's discuss everything in this video and how these changes can have impact on the Cowboys' future. What's up, buddies? Welcome to the NFL Playbook Cowboys. If you are new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button. This is all about America's team. Let's start with Mike McCarthy. This Sunday marks the final game of McCarthy's current contract. What happens next is still up in the air. While the exact timing of a decision isn't clear, history suggests it could take a week or so after the season ends. Frankly, it's unclear if the Cowboys themselves have decided what they want to do. There's also the question of whether McCarthy even wants to return. Both sides have taken the "we'll address it after the season" approach, leaving fans and analysts guessing. The Cowboys have shown resilience late in the season, which is a credit to McCarthy. But does that mean he deserves an extension? Not necessarily. It might justify not firing him mid-season, but it doesn't guarantee he stays long-term. According to NFL Network, there have been no significant talks about extending McCarthy's contract. That's notable given the limited time left before he becomes a free agent. Reports from insiders like Jay Glazer and Adam Schefter suggest that McCarthy would draw interest from other NFL teams if he became available. A unique situation for a head coach. McCarthy has even hired Don Yee as his agent, likely in preparation for exploring other opportunities. It's hard to ignore the timing, as Yee's camp appears to be emphasizing McCarthy's potential interest elsewhere. Whether that interest is genuine or strategic positioning, time will tell us. The Cowboys need to act quickly. If they are planning to move on, they must start their head coaching search immediately to avoid falling behind. On the flip side, if they intend to keep McCarthy, they risk losing him if a decision isn't made soon. Waiting too long could backfire, leaving the team scrambling. What is your opinion? Should Mike McCarthy be the Cowboys' head coach in 2025? Drop your answers in the comments below. Type Y for yes or N for no. If you were pro-McCarthy, you might argue that he was dealt a tough hand. Poor decisions by the front office and a series of injuries. On the flip side, if you were against McCarthy, you'd point out that the team wasn't performing well even before the injuries. The big question is this. If the Cowboys didn't think McCarthy was worth extending after 3 consecutive 12-5 seasons, why would a 7 or 8-win season suddenly make him worth keeping? That logic doesn't track. If playoff losses weren't enough to warrant action, why is a mediocre season the tipping point? To be clear, this isn't an argument that McCarthy is a bad coach. He's competent, certainly among the top 20 or 30 coaches in the league. He's arguably better than some of the head coaches who were fired this season. The real question is whether good enough is actually good enough. The Cowboys have set a higher standard, telling fans that 12-5 records are fine, but not the ultimate goal. So why lower the bar now? Keeping McCarthy feels like the easy way out. It's choosing comfort over the challenge of striving for greatness. It's a decision that says, we may not win the Super Bowl, but at least we won't bottom out. That mindset screams mediocrity. High aspirations require bold moves, and settling for "at least it's not worse" is the very definition of playing it safe. Unfortunately, this approach is consistent with what the Cowboys have done in the past. They find ways to avoid taking risks. Moving to the next big thing. With the Cowboys' season officially over, there's been growing chatter about whether Trey Lance should start in Week 18. Cooper Rush had another rough outing against the Eagles, which has reignited these calls. It's easy to see why people are curious about giving Lance a shot. To be fair, Cooper Rush has done exactly what you'd expect from a backup quarterback. He's been steady, consistent, and reliable in his role. He's managed games well and likely outperformed expectations for most backups. But here's the thing. There's a ceiling to what Rush brings to the table, and now feels like the perfect time to see what Trey Lance can offer. The potential outcomes with Lance are much broader. He could be better than Rush, or he could struggle significantly. The fact that he hasn't played yet raises questions about how he's been performing in practice. Has he shown enough to earn this opportunity? If not, why? Those are valid concerns, but at this point, what's the harm in letting him start? The Cowboys have nothing to lose. It's Week 18, the season's over, and a win or loss against Washington won't change a thing. What do you think? Who should start in Week 18, Trey Lance or Cooper Rush? Type TL for Trey Lance or CR for Cooper Rush in the comments below. Here's my perspective. If Lance plays and struggles, so what? It's one game in a season that's already a write-off. But if he shows potential, you gain valuable insight into what he could bring to the team in the future. It's worth the gamble. Earlier in the year, it made sense to stick with Rush. He was coming off strong performances against the Panthers and Buccaneers, making it tough to justify a switch. But now, the situation is different. After a poor outing and with nothing on the line, this is the perfect opportunity to see what Lance can do. Even if Lance throws multiple interceptions or has a rough game, it's better than not knowing. At this point, it's about evaluation, not win. You're looking at the long-term picture. Why not let him show what he can do under real game conditions? Okay, now let's discuss one of the more intriguing reports from NFL Network this week revolves around Jets star receiver Garrett Wilson. According to the report, Wilson might request a trade this offseason due to reported friction with Aaron Rodgers. It seems the two haven't been on the same page, which could open the door to some interesting possibilities. The report also mentioned that the Jets received trade inquiries about Wilson after acquiring Davante Adams in October. At the time, New York had no interest in moving him. But with tensions reportedly rising, this situation could shift. There's been speculation that Wilson could be seen as a potential trade piece by the team's front office. This could help them secure a new quarterback in the upcoming draft. While Wilson hasn't officially requested a trade, the possibility becomes intriguing, especially if Aaron Rodgers returns next season. The Jets may see moving Wilson as one of their options going forward. Wilson has been a remarkably consistent performer throughout his NFL career, putting up 1,000-yard seasons despite less than stellar quarterback play. Even Rodgers struggled this year and never quite found chemistry with Wilson. Rodgers tends to stick with his preferred targets, often overlooking Wilson, who was frequently open, as seen on game film. Here's the case for making the move. Trading a first-round pick for Wilson would bring in a proven, reliable 1,000-yard receiver who could thrive alongside CeeDee Lamb and benefit from playing with the best quarterback he's ever had. Wilson's talent speaks for itself. He's been consistently productive despite challenging circumstances in New York. Adding him to Dallas would elevate the offense and provide another dynamic weapon. That said, it's unlikely the Cowboys would pursue such an aggressive move. Historically, they've shied away from bold, all-in trades like this one. While I'd personally be excited about the idea, it would show a level of urgency and ambition that fans often hope for. It doesn't align with the Cowboys' usual approach. It's the kind of move that would make a big statement. But whether it's realistic for Dallas is another story. And that wraps up today's report. What do you think the Cowboys should do? Stick with Mike McCarthy? Or is it time for a change? Should Trey Lance get his shot in Week 18? Or has Cooper Rush done enough to hold onto the role? And finally, would you trade a first-round pick for Garrett Wilson to pair him with CeeDee Lamb? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates. Thanks for watching NFL Playbook Cowboys, and I'll see you in the next one.